Hi, everybody. Frank Gladstone here for another webinar. This time we're talking about a brand new, 3-year-old brand new film called Animal Crackers. It's got a really interesting story, and I'm talking to the co-directors, Tony Bancroft and Scott Christian Sava. I hope I did that the Yonkers way, Scott.
You did. Thank you.
So we were talking about how you pronounce his last name. We'll just say Scott in the show. I'm going to introduce Tony first. I've known Tony it's almost 30 years, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I think it's 30 years this year.
Yeah. I'm still bitter that you left my mom.
I know, it was unbelievable.
You're still daddy to me.
Yeah. And 12 years with Disney Studio, which is where we met, animated on Pumbaa, on Kronk, on Cogsworth, on Iago. We're going to talk a little bit about Iago later. And co-directed Mulan, Annie Award.
The animated, you have to say the animated movie.
The animated one, not the one coming out.
Yeah.
We got an Annie Award for that particular job.
I did.
Animation supervisor on Stuart Little 2. And worked on the Mary Poppins return this a couple years ago, traditional animation. On Space Jam, working on Space Jam 2 now. Is that what you're doing?
Currently from home, yes.
Yeah, so there you go. He's got a twin brother, identical twin brother. We don't want to talk about him.
We don't want to talk about Tom.
His name's Tom.
Yeah.
And we won't bring him up anymore. And Scott Christian Sava has worked for Disney, Universal, Nickelodeon. The one animated picture, it was a hybrid animated picture, was Casper, several years ago now. Worked on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Star Trek, Spider-Man. Went to the Academy of Art in what cities? In San Francisco.
San Francisco, yeah. Yeah, majored in illustration.
And became the founding member of the Sega for America, which did a lot of designs for that, and ended up designing for Atari games while he worked on Star Trek comics, Moonlight. I know things, Scott. I know things. And then he opened his own studio, Blue Dream Studios, which began doing a lot of content, including private content, their own content, like Hyperactive, My Pet Robots, My Grandparents Are Secret Agents, and the Dreamland Chronicles, which I guess is what you're most noted for nowadays, besides this movie.
Yeah, yeah.
So there you go. And you're looking right at their offices. There's Tony's traditional animation desk from his old Disney days. There you go. There's Scott's The Hobbit Hole, which is his kind of den with lots of creatures in it. And there's me. You've seen that before. So I'm going to start. Usually what I do is I ask a few questions to kind of break the ice. And by this time, people who are in the chat already or in the webinar are invited to go to the Q&A and write in or type in the Q&A form their questions, and I will get to as many as we can in the next half hour or so. So here's my first one. This started as a graphic novel. Is that right, Scott?
Yeah. I've actually got a copy here.
There it is. And I guess you weren't thinking about it as an animated film initially. So how did this happen? How did it suddenly become an idea for an animation film? And if you came up with the idea, how did you talk Tony into it? Did Tony come up with the idea and talk you into it?
That's a story. That is a story. I went to, like I said, art school as an illustration major. And so even just writing a graphic novel was something very new to me. But my friend Kevin Grievous, who created Underworld, the vampire and werewolf series, he was the one who suggested that I try to turn Animal Crackers into a screenplay. And when I told him I went to art school, I don't know anything about writing a screenplay, he says, I'm a microbiologist. I don't know anything about writing a screenplay either. You don't need a degree in writing a screenplay to do it. And so he really encouraged me to do that. And I wrote it, and somehow, and I'm living in Franklin, Tennessee, which is where Tony's twin brother Tom lives.
Yeah, because Scott and I went back a ways. I mean, I had my own animation company years ago. After leaving Disney, I left Disney to start my own animation company, and I was developing a lot of ideas. Scott was an entrepreneur and kind of a real renegade. I guess you'd call him a real Renaissance artist, in that Scott's done a lot of things. He can paint, he draws, he I don't know, probably does cross stitch on the weekends. I don't know, but he does a lot of different things, wears a lot of different hats over the years, but all creative kind of stuff. And so when he started publishing things with Mike Kunkel early on, they had their own, their own company, Astonish Factory, and they were going to San Diego Comic-Con every year, selling their wares of all their different graphic novels and stuff. And he's, he got some really good interest in Animal Crackers and some of his other things early on. And I was always amazed at what he was doing, thinking, oh, that's really cool. And we were going in a different direction a little bit, but still at Tunacious, still trying to develop our own animated features. And we would get together for lunch a lot of times, and we'd dream about what would it be to make a lower budget animated feature and really kind of show that new model could exist in this world. And this was as studios were opening all around the world, starting to do feature stuff. And the quality was just getting better and better as the prices for hardware was going down throughout the world. So we just started thinking, this is the time. We should really be trying to find something. And then when Scott called me later on, when he got interest in Animal Crackers, I said, yeah, use my name as you go out for investment. I was happy to do that because I was supportive of Scott, but also I thought, well, who knows? Maybe something will come of this. And little did I know, almost 5 years later, after getting the initial funds, he calls me up again and says, hey, remember that promise? You said you were going to direct this for me. Come on. And I was actually I was working for a small company called IDT. Or wait, was that your company? No,
it was mine.
That was your company. I forget the name of the company now. And this small company was doing.
You know what it was, Tony? Wasn't it that group we went into that was going to do that game?
No, it was the Paul McCartney. I was working with Paul McCartney, one of the Beatles, on a project, and now it just fell out of my mind, the name of the company. But anyway, so when Scott called, I was like, I'm doing this project with the Beatles. It's got a bigger budget. It looks like a for sure thing. I'm sorry, Scott.
That's a pretty good excuse. If you're going to get an excuse, I'm working with a Beatle is pretty darn good.
Yeah. And I was loving it. I was really thinking this is going to be big. We were talking about Lady Gaga doing songs and stuff. Paul knew everybody, so we can get like an A-list, a cast list, and songs in it. So, and then little did I know, but like a couple months later, maybe 2 or 3 months later, the whole thing fell apart, and I found myself out of a job and on the phone. First call I made, hey, Scott, you still got that money? You still need a director to work with you on Animal Crackers? Because I'd love to.
There you go.
Yeah. For the record, Voodoo Dolls work.
Yeah, there you go. We had a question from Steve Lipton, which I know, Tony, you don't have to answer him. I'll ask him.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
And this one's an interesting one. I know the story behind it, but you guys will tell it better than I know it. Emily Blunt and John Krasinski worked together on this picture, and you can tell from the picture. I mean, their dialogue sounds like a married couple.
Yeah, it really does.
They are.
Somehow they have good chemistry.
They have very good chemistry. Yeah. So, was any of it improvised? Was it improvised? Were there major differences in the graphic novel film regarding? I'll ask the second question. Right. Was any of
Do you mind if I take that, Tony?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So, the funny story, and I'll start off with how we got them, because that is very self-deprecating, and Tony loves to hear it. So our first cast member was Ian McKellen. We weren't expecting. We weren't expecting that at all. That was like our big get. But then Danny DeVito, Sylvester Stallone, Raven Simone, Patrick Warburton, they all kind of came on. And we were like, oh no, what are we going to do? We had to go back to our investors, go get more money, because we couldn't say no. And we still didn't have the Owen and Zoe parts. And Jamie Thomason, our casting director, said, I'm going to run a name by you, Scott. John Krasinski. I said, never heard of the guy. It was 2014. I'd never seen The Office. I just didn't know, right? So Jamie goes, he calls Tony. Tony, can you please help me out? So Tony's like, yeah, he's really funny. They both send me clips. Okay, he sounds like a good guy. Fine. So a few months later, I fly out from Nashville to Los Angeles to go meet John, Raven, and Danny. And John's fantastic. He's just amazing. He was perfect. We still didn't have the Zoe character. We just didn't have anybody for Zoe. So it's the end of the session, and I go into the studio where the microphones are to just thank John for, this is my first time ever at a recording session. It's my first time ever doing this. You know, Tony's an old hat. He's in the sound room with Jamie and everybody else. And I'm just telling him, just thank you. I was so nervous and you know, I was on Xanax and everything at the time. And he's just like, no, this was great. We love the script. And he goes, I just want to tell you, because my wife just thought the script was great. She just loved it. And I was like, well, thank her for me, because I didn't know who he was married to, because I didn't know who he was. Fortunately, the mics were hot, and Tony comes running in the room.
That's right. Jamie and I both are like, ho, 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 ho. So we're looking actually for a person to play your wife. Do you think she'd be interested? You know, and Scott's still going like, wait, I don't know. I didn't. Who is this
why
person?
are you asking this man if his wife? That's kind of rude, don't you think?
Yeah, he's like, you said no to my wife. Why are you letting his wife come into this? And so he literally just texted her right there, and within 5 minutes got a response, and he just said, hey babe, what do you think? They're looking for the person to play my wife. You want to do it? And she just wrote back, yeah.
He goes, she's in. And from that point on, John and Emily, they recorded together in the same room. And if you go to the Animal Crackers Instagram page, I have been posting. I mean, again, it was my first film. So I spent most of it like this, recording everything on my phone and sending it to my wife and going, oh my God, you got to hear this. Oh my God. Because they would do 5 or 6 takes, and each one would be completely different, and we could only use one of them.
Right.
And so there's just so much wonderful material. There's one it's up on the Instagram site where she's deciding that she's going to take over the circus. She goes, you know what? I'm going to take over a circus. And he's like, whoa, hold on a second. You're going to inherit your dad's company. And she goes, I don't care. I've always wanted to work a circus. And he goes, I've always wanted to play baseball, but you don't see me playing for the Yankees. And there was just this whole thing back and forth between the two of them. And it was just all improvised. We couldn't use that. But even the I like to eat apples and bananas was completely improvised. And there's a video of them doing it. And she breaks out into song, and John's just it takes him a few beats till he picks up on it. And then he kind of jumps into it too. So all of it was just so natural. Their love, their chemistry and everything. It was their first film together, and they were so excited about it because this was filmed in 2015. Right. By the time 2016 or 2017 came around, I remember John coming up to me and saying, you know what? I'm making another movie. It's called A Quiet Place, and I think I'm going to have Emily in it because it looks like fun. But I mean, there was just that
they were inspired by us. He cast his wife in A Quiet Place because of our movie. I'm telling you right now.
That's unbelievable, because he wasn't sure about her being able to carry a part.
Yeah.
I think he was worried about her comedy chops. He was like, I've been on The Office, babe. Yeah. What have you done? Devil Wears Prada? Whatever.
Yeah. That's really great, though. It's really, and it, in the movie, it seems like it's not scripted. It seems like you're in the car with the family.
It really is. It really is. I mean, again, going back to that scene, all I wrote was Mackenzie says, "I'm hungry," and Zoe says, "There's a fruit stand." In the film, it's John says, well, she's hungry. Well, I don't think I have anything. Well, did you check underneath did you check in the center console? I know I did, but look underneath the sunglasses. And they're fighting. Oh, no, look. And then he starts singing all of that. And we're just going, oh, this is so good. Tony and I were like, okay, we're going to have to go back and re-storyboard the entire film. You're just going to have to.
I know that there must have been times when the dialogue was so good, because it happens without husband and wife couples. It happens. Yeah. You get an actor who really knows how to improvise, and you said, we got to use that line. I remember when they were, with the late Robin Williams, the guys would record and they go, well, you got to use that one.
Yeah.
So I know that you had a storyboard there. My other question, which is the other part of Steve's question, is were there major differences from the graphic novel to the film regarding story and character design?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the graphic novel is animated by, was it somebody that you hired? I can't remember, Scott.
The graphic novel was illustrated by Allison Acton, and she was actually an animator, but it was the only scene that made it from the book to the film was Owen as a hamster running around saying "Holy moly, holy moly, holy moly."
Oh, really?
That actually,
I mean, you can kind of see from that quick shot there too that the character design style was dramatically different. It really skewed a lot younger. We wanted it to have a bit more of a sophisticated look. So we got Carter Goodrich, who's an all-star character designer, come in, and he touched every single character in the movie. We were really privileged to have him.
He was our only designer. He designed everything, and he really made it weird. I mean, it was. I mean, it's just again, my first film, he was pushing me in directions I wasn't comfortable with, and it was just, I was thinking a Disney kind of style, and he's like, I don't do that, and there was just a part where I just had to kind of let go and just trust it, but like there's some characters that still kind of freak me out in the film.
Well, with a film with clowns, that's easy to do.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny enough, it's not the clowns. It's like, Zucchini or Horatio still, but they're just wonderful designs.
Yeah. I had a question here about Zucchini. Actually, it's about Gilbert Gottfried for Tony, because Tony, you worked with him, or you worked on a character he did back in the day on Iago, and I noticed in watching the movie, it's obviously Gilbert Gottfried, but it isn't quite the same he would do for Iago.
Yeah.
It's pulled back a little bit, which is a good thing. You almost hear his regular voice a couple of times.
Yeah, and he's a softer henchman to Horatio, the bad guy. He's kind of a softer part than he played in Iago. He was putting on, I got to be the villain, I got to be this, and and Mario in our film, Mario Zucchini, his character is that he thinks he's actually in control. He's kind of insane, all the evil characters are insane for the most part. And he thinks that, this is all about him. So he lives in his own little universe, but he makes up everything.
I actually like that he narrates everything he does.
Yeah. Third person. Yeah.
Which I think is pretty good. And also, ironically, you did Kronk in Emperor's New Groove, and then you
Patrick Warburton
to do a very good bad guy in this case. I thought he was a really excellent bad guy.
I have worked with Patrick Warburton on 5 different projects now. I got him hired for another independent that I did, and I just, anytime I can work with, it'll be like John Lasseter and Ratzenberg. I'll just get him for everything that I do, I think. But yeah, and there was also Harvey Firestein that I also worked with on Mulan, and we got him to do a voice also. And then of course Danny DeVito has done something. I didn't work with him, but he's been a Disney voice. So we had a lot of real Disney type voices in this for sure.
Now, Scott, did you know who Patrick Warburton was, or is he another mystery to you at the time?
No, actually, Patrick and Ian were the 2 voices in my head when I was writing those characters. So I was really thrilled that I actually got both of them. But yeah, it's impossible to not know who Kronk is. Sorry.
Yeah, well,
it's larger than life.
He is.
So the other issue, which is the biggest issue, I think, about this. Let me get the question right. What happened after the Annecy premiere? Tony, as a quote, Tony, all-star cast, great animation, fun family film. Why isn't this happening? Unquote. That's a quote from you, Tony.
Where did you find that quote?
I don't know.
Have you bugged?
Why has it taken 3 years to get a release? Tell me what happened. You had a premiere at Annecy.
It didn't make sense to us. They say that, making an independent film, and Frank, you know this.
Yeah.
There's usually 3 major aspects to it, right? And they can all be difficult, or just one of them, you never know. But for us, the 2 that are probably the most difficult usually are, 1, you got to get financing. So raising the money. That went pretty smoothly for us. Check, we're done. 2, production. Anything can go wrong. We did have some bumps here and there, but for the most part, that was a creative bliss kind of moment. We just had a great team, had a good time. Film gets done. 3, you got to get distribution. Otherwise, You're not going to get it out. That was the thought. Our thought was that's going to be the easy thing. We have this great cast, like you said, great cast, fun animation. The story is family friendly. We thought this should be a no-brainer. And we struggled for 3 years. And I'll let Scott kind of pick up the why.
Why?
Oh God. I'll keep it simple, but essentially, what happened was we were finishing the film at the end of 2016. We got just an amazing offer from we'll just say one studio that just a fantastic offer, like cash advance, everything, a deal with Nabisco, all of this really, really wonderful stuff. So of course we said, yeah. And we signed on. Within 2 months, we found out they were going bankrupt. They had no intention of putting the film out. They just were using us to have an asset to make their company more valuable for the bankruptcy. And to get the money, to get the film back, we had to pay an extortion fee to get the money to get the film back. So we actually had to buy our film back, which put us in a hole. We got it back. We got another sweet deal by this new company that came from Germany. And okay, within 6 months, that company went under. So now my investors are getting upset and they're going, what's wrong? And I'm going, look, I never said I knew anything about distribution. This is still my first film. You know, I don't have experience doing this. So they said, okay, we want you to take this deal with this third company. I said, I don't have a good vibe with this company. I don't think they're going to. Sure enough, that company just sat on the film for 14 months while it used our film as a leverage. Because, I mean, the cast alone was enough. They were able to, from what I'm able to understand, companies are able to take a loan out based on the value of a film. Yeah. So if they sign a contract, and even if they don't fulfill their end of the contract, which is to pay for it, they still have the rights to it until we sue them or something like that. So they're able to take out $30-40 million loans based on the value of our film. And so they sat on the film for 14 months until we finally got it back at the end of 2019 or beginning of 2019. And then it was just a legal battle with the investors, and then Netflix came out and saved the day. And so it was a good 3 straight years of us just kind of wandering the desert going, is this film ever going to come out? We
would call each other. I mean, I would have to, there was times that that Scott would be down and I'd try and cheer him up. And there was times that I would be down like, oh my gosh, is this ever going to come out? And then Scott would but we both had this feeling of like, it has to come out. People have to see this movie. We've just put too much into it.
Yeah.
I must have been really, a weight as you waited, as you slogged through this time and constant. But you know what? It is part of the business. It's something that I don't know if they teach it in business school or in animation school or art school. And they might teach you how to do your taxes, and they might teach you how to, sign a work for hire or something like that. But they don't. I don't think they teach you about the manipulations that can go on through no fault of you.
Yeah.
You delivered.
Right.
You delivered it. And then
one thing they should teach you is to pay yourself first. That was the stupidest thing I did. Was I did the whole captain goes down with the ship, and I put my payment at the end and I never got it. So I just, that was my biggest lesson was, pay yourself first.
I guess so. Well, make sure I guess so. Now, were the people who were in it, both your crew and your stars, were they saying, where's the movie? Where's the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, the whole time. Yeah. And many of them were very, very supportive. I mean, Scott, I know, because it was so personal to Scott, this whole story. It's his baby. He and his wife really put everything on the line, including their house and their mortgage. His wife had to go. This is the stuff that he won't tell you, but his wife went back to work and stuff like that just to support Scott so he can keep this ball going and stuff. It was a really, really difficult time for Scott, for me too, but it was mostly for Scott and his family. And so you had I know Patrick Warburton and you had Michael Bublé call you to encourage you, right?
Yeah. Huey Lewis, Michael Bublé. I mean, they would call, they would check in. And that was nice. It was sweet. And now that the film is out, they're supporting the film, and they're retweeting and putting it on their Facebook and whatnot.
Speaking of which, speaking of music, you got in touch with Brian May and Roger Taylor.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got a song from
Queen.
Yeah. And this was 2014 before everybody was using Queen. This was just, and the thing is it was way out of our budget. It was like $500,000.
Yeah,
It
come
was
on.
just and we just, but the song was so perfect for that scene. And I guess this is, Tony likes to say, this is kind of my thing, is I always go, well, it doesn't hurt to ask,
Right.
is you might as well try. And so we asked if we could send Brian and Roger the film, which was storyboards and some animatics, and just say, just take a look at it. Take a look at it. We can't afford what you're asking. Could you please cut us a break? We only have a little bit of money, like a tenth of what you're asking.
Yeah.
And they watched it with their family, and about a week or so later, they said, okay, and they gave it to us. And so it was just, that's been the positives. The making of the film was filled with stuff like that, right, Tony? I mean, it was just
Always. Yeah.
like with Emily, it was just,
It was like little miracles, I guess. It was everything you would want in the beginning, everything you would want from making an independent film. There was that great satisfaction of, it was just Scott and I, kind of against the world. We could make all the creative choices we want. There was no input from distributors or executives or investors. And we had all this great creative freedom, had a ball making the movie, worked with some of the best talents out there vocally and drawing wise, design wise. And then it was just actually turned into be like the worst case scenario against Hollywood trying to get it out. So our story of Animal Crackers really has kind of both sides of like, the best experience and the worst experience put together.
It sounds
you think we used up all the good luck and good forttion on the production, maybe?
Well, it sounds like the production went through pretty smoothly. I mean, it wasn't a long production.
No.
I don't know where you did what production.
It was like a little over 2 years. It was like mid 2014 to the end of 2016. And it was, I mean, Tony and I, like, there was a sequence where Ian McKellen is monologuing and we're going, Ian McKellen could read the phone book. It sounds fantastic, but It is kind of a monologue, and I wrote it. So it's like, I'm like, we need that information in there, but I don't know how to do it otherwise. And I just, well, what if he breaks out into song? Well, we don't know how to write music, and Ian McKellen's a Shakespearean actor. And so, well, we'll figure it out later. And that was pretty much it. And,
Mm-hmm.
next thing we know, Dan and Swampy, who created Phineas and Ferb, wrote us a song.
Wrote you a song.
And the hop, skip, and a jump later, and Ian McKellen's doing a duet with Gilbert Gottfried. And it was just, why not? That was the creative freedom Tony and I had. It was just, why not?
And then they were okay to do it. I think that's one of the nice parts about animation. I know that from my own experience. When you ask most of the actors to do stuff, they will do it. I've asked the actors to sing that don't sing.
Yeah.
They will do it because it's animation. They're having fun.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not their fate. They don't have to worry about what they look like when they're doing it. I think it is a different thing.
It's a different thing. And I'll give that a shot.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell a funny story out of school a little bit. The Emoji movie, which you guys may have seen. Patrick Stewart is the poop in it. and it's only like 10 or 15 lines in the whole movie, and they went to him, they said, we want you to be in the movie and we want you to play this character, and he said, okay, so long as in the credits you mention me as Sir Patrick Stewart.
Because he thought it would be funnier, probably.
Yeah, he said, okay, yeah, I'll do it. Good.
Yeah.
And you had Sylvester Stallone. I know there's a story about Sylvester Stallone. He only really, except for one really cool part, actually, he only, and I don't want to give it away.
No spoilers.
He has one line. I mean, he has the same line over and over again.
And this was before I Am Groot too.
Yeah.
This is we wrote it and produced that aspect of it in the storyboards well before Guardians of the Galaxy, and which is unfortunate because right when I remember going to see Guardians of the Galaxy and calling Scott up and going, oh, there goes our Bullet Man gag. Now everybody's going to compare it to I Am Groot.
I didn't think of it twice when I was watching it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No,
I haven't heard not too many people have mentioned it. Maybe 2 or 3 out of the thousands of people I've spoken to, which is good. But he came in and I was terrified. Again, more Xanax, but I was terrified. And he came in and he spent 45 minutes just encouraging me and talking to me and telling me stories about where he was when he sleeping in his car and Rocky, and he looked me in the eyes and he said, "This is your project. This is your baby. You don't let them take it away from you." And like, he gave me the Rocky speech,
Right.
It was like,
Go and say Bullet Man 5 times.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? He did it with joy, wasn't he, Tony? I mean, he was.
Gusto. Yeah. I mean, he got fully into it, and he was like, it was almost like he was doing Shakespeare, Shakespeare in the Park or something. He was just Bullet Man, Bullet Man, Bullet Man, Bullet Man.
I like the one where
Just all these.
he goes, Bullet
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. That's my favorite. Yeah.
There is a nice surprise near the end of the movie. So if those of you who are on the webinar haven't seen it yet, it's a really nice surprise at the end.
And Bullet Man was my favorite character because he's based off of an old G.I. Joe toy I had. And so that was just, he's a combination of that and Evel Knievel, because he's broken every bone in his body.
Yeah.
I have another one that's kind of a big one. So Netflix comes in, Night on a White Horse. How did that happen? How did they know about it? How did they find out about it? What did they come? I don't want to know the deal or anything, but I'd like to know what happened and how you guys felt about it when it finally did happen.
Well, interestingly enough, it was the Cannes Film Festival at 2019.
You had the movie back. You owned the movie again, so at least you had that.
Huh?
You owned the movie by that time.
Yeah, I got it back earlier, a couple months earlier than that. And we weren't at the film festival, but our sales agent who had helped us with the film earlier was there, and Netflix approached them and said, hey, we'd like the film. I guess at that point was when Disney Plus was coming out, and they were like, okay, we got to get serious about animation. And our film was at the top of the list, which was great. The offer was not bad. There was a little negotiation to make it a little better. But after that, it was pretty smooth sailing. It was it was a pretty easy thing. The strangest thing was they took the film as is. We didn't get to edit it. That was the thing that really shocked us. So what you're seeing is every single shot we made. It's kind of an unedited version, and so that was. Like, let's get this all wrapped up. Let's get it out there, kind of thing.
I will say, we obviously edited it during the storyboard process.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But still, that's kind of, so when you guys were the boss of it. You were the directors, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't a big studio giving you notes every day.
No.
And all that. You gave yourself notes, I'm sure. And maybe someone came in and said, hey, why doesn't he wear a green hat or something like that? Maybe. Right. But basically, and I was actually talking yesterday to Guillermo del Toro, and he was talking about not taking notes. He gets them, but he gets them with the understanding that he doesn't have to use them. So neither did you.
Yeah, we didn't because of the situation we were in, but I would love to be in a Guillermo del Toro situation where I've done everything and I've, made successful movies, and now what are you going to tell me? He's very bullheaded about that, I'm sure, very, and deservedly so. He's
happy. It's part of his philosophy. So you got it. You got the deal. It's up on Netflix now. I hope it's doing really great.
It is.
Good. That's a very good thing.
Yeah, we've been in the top 10, worldwide, actually. So it's been a really exciting time.
Yeah, number 5 in the world, number 1 animated, number 2 overall in films. So it's been doing really good.
Great. And it's a good time for that.
Yeah, it was good timing.
Coronavirus has helped us. For sure.
Yeah. I joke with Tony because could you imagine if the 4th time we sign with a distributor and it's going to be a big summer release and the theater's closed? I think I would have hung myself or something.
I know. We thought, what's going to happen next? Will Wi-Fi go down all over the world?
Could have happened or something.
Hack you. You get hacked by some country, the Russians or something. No,
right.
That's really great. It's doing really great. I guess the last question I have for you, which I always ask, because this was an independent project and was done all over the place. You had your talent was everywhere, of course, but you had your studio. Where did the production get done? Was it in offshore somewhere? Did you use animators around our country?
Valencia, Spain. Valencia,
Oh.
Spain. It was a studio that Scott had developed a relationship with, worked on a couple smaller projects like commercials and things with this group. And they were just really tenacious. They were exactly what we needed. They were not just, work for hire employees. They were like family. They were invested in the movie and went above and beyond. And I spent some time in Spain. I went out there a couple times to be with them. We did a lot of it through Shotgun, through the internet, just like we're doing now these days. So we proved it out before the pandemic. But yeah, it was a great time, and they're just as much to thank as Emily Blunt or John Krasinski, if not more so, because they put so much love and attention into this film.
They did good work. It's really good, and it's not kind of nice to see that all over the world now, because back in the day, Tony, when we were starting out at Disney, you couldn't have all over the world. It wasn't. Yeah. It just wasn't possible. And now it is. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So it's great, guys. I think this was a fun webinar. I hope you guys had fun.
We did.
It'll be up on the YouTube channel in a few days.
Okay.
And a lot more people will see it. I want to thank you both very much and congratulate you on finally getting the film out. And I'm looking forward to talking with you. Oh, are you going to do some more? Do you think you'll do another one?
We hope to. Yeah.
I've already got it worked out. Animal Crackers 2, the second batch.
All right. Okay. Thanks very much, guys, and thank you all. Thank you at Asifa and everybody. We'll talk to you again soon.
See y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.